Hey, Tom Terran. This is you against apparently Gabriel in a 33-minute TVP. Ah, I hate long TVP. Oh, okay, I hate long TVT more, but you know, TVP is annoying too. Ooh, a proxy pylon in a ridiculous spot. And a bunch of zealots before any stalkers or sentries. That's pretty risky. Ooh, I saw you stop making workers. But no, you're fine. 29. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good work. This expo is at 7 minutes, which is fine. By 10 minutes, I want 37. Come on, 37. You can do it. 37, 37, 33. Well, that's good enough. Better to have 2 bases and 33 workers than 1 base and 33 workers, I always say. So, yeah, you're behind on workers. You're obviously way ahead of your opponent, but you're behind what you want to be at. But the advantage of being a little bit behind on workers is that it allows you to have a bigger army than what you would have if you weren't behind on workers. Expo and tech at the same time, always a risk. You got these bunkers up, it's good times. Until a battle happens, there's really nothing important to say, I think. As long as you're spending all your money and you have a reasonable number of workers, then you're doing well, you know? Because we're still in that phase of gameplay where what you make isn't nearly as important as how much of it you make. This expo is at finishing at 14 minutes, started at probably 11, so that's good. It's good times. Up to 63 by 15 minutes, not terrible, not terrible. 66. So you're reaching the point where this is how many workers you're just gonna have for the rest of the game. You don't need to make any more, and you're keeping your money low the entire time. This is crazy, going almost all the way up to 200 units, keeping your money low. This is great, good work. And look, the problem is if you wait this long into the game before you do anything, and I mean you should make 200 unit space and then go attack, because it'll be too distracting to try to constantly fight while producing units. But the problem with doing that is now he's mass charge lot immortal, which is like the ultimate I'm gonna splash the crap out of you. So what's gonna happen here is you're gonna siege up. He's gonna walk in here with charge lots and immortals. Your tanks are going to have to pick between shooting the zealots and therefore hitting your own units, shooting the sentries, which is what you should choose, shooting the stalkers, which is also what you should choose, or shooting the immortals, which is also bad. So if you hit any zealots or immortals, that's bad. If you hit sentry, stalker, that's good. So it's possible for you to win this fight. You have a bigger army than him. No, you have a smaller army than him, even though you have more unit space. Isn't that funny? That's very typical of TVP. Frickin' Protoss, man. The units are so expensive that they just end up with huge, awesome armies, even though you're ahead on unit space. You have 1-1, he has 1-1. He has 1-0. This should be okay. As long as you micro it perfectly, which I doubt that you will do. So drop a PDD, stim all this stuff, and A move in, and then grab your tanks and tell them to hit this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this. You know, just shift click on all of the sentries and then stalkers, and then grab your M&M again and start pulling them back and moving them around. So that's what you want to do. Basically, just make sure that your tanks don't screw up the whole universe. You have 1 ghost in here, so this is, I mean, that's awesome. If you can get a really good amp on the immortals and sentries, that'd be great. So as you can see in the beginning of this fight, it's going great. He's running his probes through the battle, pretty funny. All his charge lots just melted away, which is awesome. And now it's basically a mass immortal versus mostly marauder tank, and marauders and tanks are both quite bad against immortals. You have enough for an emp, and immortals are completely dominated by emp. Like if you emped right here, this battle would be completely changed forever, right? Because both, okay, your tanks right now are shooting at these immortals, which is bad. You want them to be shooting the stalkers. But yeah, both marauders and tanks are bad against immortals with shields and good against immortals without shields. So emp against immortals is just amazingly awesome. I don't know why make a ghost if you're not going to use it, but look how well you did in that fight, man. 5,000 damage done, 3,000 damage received. That was just great. Good Good job. Plus, you're reinforcing pretty quickly, but you didn't change your rally point to be at the battle. Okay, there's two ways to play as far as attacks. The first way is the way most people play, which is to make a big army, go attack with it, send the reinforcements back to your own base, and just let this force do what it can and die off or retreat. Right? If you do that way, which is what you're doing in this game, as soon as combat stops, you should immediately retreat or grab your reinforcements and come join. Because the longer you're away from your base, the smaller this army is relative to that period in time, right? Because right when it pushed out, it was huge. Because he had the same time stamp as you on his army, so your army was a little bit smaller than his, which was great. But the longer you stay over here without your reinforcements coming to you, the smaller that army is relative to your total army size. So the second way, rather than making balls and sending them out one at a time, is to just set your rally point to right here and then shift click it onto all your tanks so that your units show up as soon as they spawn. That's what I like to do, because it means that your attacking force will always be as strong as possible. Now, obviously that's bad if you lose your attacking force, because then you have nothing back home to defend with. But, you know, it's better than this situation, which is you've been reinforcing for a long time, but your reinforcements are not fighting. So now, in the first battle, you had your whole army against his whole army, which is great, and now you've got about half your army against his whole army, which is bad. Also, you put your tanks in front. You never want your tanks in front. Your tanks are great for splashing things and terrible for taking damage. Also, your tanks, again, are hitting immortals. Also, you're not using the Emp, even though you had the Ghost targeted. Okay, good. You did use the Emp. Great job. But you just lost like 5 tanks for no reason. No matter how well you micro this, it's not going to go terribly well if you don't have your whole army here. So it's going pretty well, though, because with those Emps on Immortals are so soft like butter. It's funny, because Immortals are like one of the best tanking units in the game, but only when they don't get Emped. So by Emping them, they just became utterly terrible. So this should technically be like the end of the game. You should grab the army you still have, come over here, mop up, and go finish the game. But it looks like you still haven't noticed that you have a big army back home. So you're still fighting with like a teeny tiny itty bitty fraction of your army. And that's terrible. So now your money piled up and you got destroyed. So basically what happened was he let you get all the way to 200 unit space without ever having to think about your units. And you did awesome. You kept your money almost completely at 0 the entire time while keeping your income up and just doing everything absolutely perfectly right. And then as soon as the battle started, you stopped spending your money altogether and stopped reinforcing and just didn't, you know, spend money anymore. So it's okay. I mean, you're learning to macro, and the first step is to learn to do it under ideal circumstances, which I think you're getting really, really good at. And then the second step, of course, is to be able to do the same thing while actually fighting. So you still have to work on that second step. Anyway, the rest of this game, I assume, is just you falling apart because you have all this money in the bank and you can't spend it. So I'll watch it and re-record something if I have anything else to say, or just email you or whatever.